4 of Hawk Talk, everyone, as I continue to get the opportunity to speak with the head coaches at the Monmouth University Athletics Department. Kicking off week number 4, it's kind of hard to believe it's flying by as fast as it is. My guest this evening is the head coach of the Monmouth Field Hockey Program. And before we do anything else, let's say good evening to my good friend, Carli Figlio. Coach, how are you tonight?
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm doing well, thank you. How's everything with you? How is your remote work and your staying home going so far?
It's good. I definitely have had an opportunity to organize lots of closets and catch up with lots of friends on FaceTime, so we're making the most of it.
It seems like that's kind of the overall theme is while we're all home, while we're all doing what we can apart, have you noticed you kind of keeping tabs maybe on more people than you would otherwise, the busy work schedule that you have?
Yeah, definitely. I think even from like my alumni base from when I went to college, we've been doing like happy hour Zooms and stuff like that, and just getting an opportunity to reconnect with people that maybe you just haven't had the time to connect with. And even just having an opportunity to like get into deeper conversations, longer conversations. I mean, nowadays, I think I've walked all of Belmar, Asbury, Bradley Beach, Neptune. I mean, I feel like I could literally get anywhere at any point just because I've been walking in every single area just to kind of keep it fresh. And obviously, you know, walking and talking has become my favorite pastime.
Well, and especially now as the weather's getting nicer and starting to see locally, there's some boardwalks talking about opening up and things like that. I'm sure, you know, we were close to the beach. Thankfully, we get to live near the beach. That's a welcome sight for all of us local residents of the Monmouth County area.
Yeah, it's so nice that you have the areas. We've got so many different trails, Sandy Hooks right over here, where you can walk on the beach and you're literally seeing New York City. That we've had some really clear days, and it's so interesting to be in that isolated environment where you're on those walks and you're looking at that big city and you just know, you know, everybody's doing their part, staying at home, just trying to get us back to that normalcy that we're all craving so badly. So it's been interesting, but honestly, we're doing really well. The girls are doing really well. So we can't complain. We're just doing our part here.
If you have a question for Carli Figlio, make sure to submit it into our Facebook Live chat. It'll get relayed over to me, and I'll be able to ask Coach really anything that is on your mind. So, if you have any questions for Carli Figlio, make sure that you submit it into our Facebook Live chat. As I mentioned, this is our 4-week. If you missed any of our prior episodes, archived at monmouth.com, as well as right here in the video section of the Monmouth Athletics Facebook page in that video tab. Coach, I think the question that everyone is kind of curious based on what we're all going through, what they're going through with their family and their coworkers, is really how is the team? How are you keeping tabs with them? You have the unique position of maybe having the roster with the most foreign players on it. So how has that been for you, now about 2 months in?
I think the most challenging part has just been figuring out a time that we can connect with everybody. I mean, my hat goes off to Gabby, who's in Australia, and she's always the one who has to kind of bear the brunt of getting up super early. So that was the biggest thing. So we've got kids in Belgium and Germany, Holland. We've got obviously our Australian and then our American kids. So it was just figuring out like time zones, right? So poor Gabby's got to get up at 6 a.m. But she's a trooper. But it's been fun, actually. We're doing the Zooms like everybody else has been doing. We had some where we did some tactical stuff where the girls actually took some part in breaking down the video as we can share the screen. That was kind of fun to see them be the coach and almost watching whether it was like a U.S. field hockey game or one of our games from the past season, breaking it down and just using their brains, right? That's the muscle that we can always be using, always learning, and just trying to push ourselves in that capacity, especially in the beginning of this where everybody was super unsure of what you could and couldn't do outside, right? That was how we kind of tackled it. And then we had some fun days too. Obviously, everybody's been Zooming and it can get difficult to just be on a screen all day long, and especially with doing classes. So we made a fun Wheel of Fortune where we had some tactical questions and then just some fun ones where we were poking fun at a few people and also the coaches. So it gave them an opportunity to kind of laugh and relax. But it was really interesting with all the internationals, just the differences of the lockdowns. And then right now, the differences of how they're kind of getting back to a little bit of normalcy in some of those countries now.
Yeah, I wouldn't, and I didn't even think about that. My first thought was how it is to kind of stay in touch with them, but you mentioned it. Some certain coaches are dealing with state by state restrictions. You're dealing with country by country restrictions. As you keep in touch with your foreign student athletes, how is their experience compared to your domestic student athletes' experience?
It's so interesting to talk to them. I mean, even just in the recruiting aspect, one player I was speaking with who's Scottish, and they aren't allowed out of their house, right? So there's some people who are super stir crazy, and then there's another player that I spoke with in New Zealand, and they're getting back to normal. I think they had 0 cases the other day, so I think within 10 days they're trying to reopen the country. So I know Holland is starting to kind of get back to a little bit of normalcy as well. So I think it's fun because in the sense of we get to almost like live vicariously through them. I was talking to Irene through WhatsApp the other day, and it was fantastic. She's been able to be invited to play with the First Ladies team, which is one of the highest honors, and she's so deserving of it. So we're just like craving to get back on the field, but we can kind of live through her. We're like, tell us all about the practices once you're able to get there. So it's been interesting, and I know that the girls have kind of taken the Zoom meetings and had their own separate from the coaching staff. So while maybe they weren't connecting over, the summer months that we're in now, they are now. So I'm hoping this is a great team building opportunity for them to really keep connecting through the May, June, and July months.
When we started doing these Hawk Talks, it was still, in the school year, and it was still where coaches and professors are kind of saying, and this is our first one that's after everything. It's after final, tomorrow loading graduation. And that energy was always very high performing in the classroom. How was this semester for them? Albeit different, where they studied, going home, and they did. What was the feedback you were getting from them as far as how they were able to do academically and how they were able to handle that doing the classwork remotely?
Yeah, right. So in the beginning, I think like every student athlete, and even just, I'm sure for the professors, my gosh, it's a completely different world that we're living in. Having to Zoom and having, to really work out the technical difficulties of just connecting and learning. I think everybody was just like a little uneasy, trying to figure out their routine and creating a new balance. I think in the beginning of all this, that was the hardest just for your everyday life. But we made sure that we connected with them and just making sure like Tom Beaver and his whole staff were fantastic and just constantly giving them support. If you need this, reach out to this person. And if we had any questions as coaches, we were able to get a hold of somebody right away. So that was great. And the girls, they did amazing. I mean, online class, man, we have good grades and we're really proud of that. But this was a really special semester. I think maybe the lowest grade, we were talking about like a C+. So, maybe I should have done online schooling when I was in school. Maybe I could have come out with a better GPA, but the girls did great. And I'm just really proud. It shows the resiliency of, hey, we can't play field hockey. Where do we shift our focus? Let's get the best grades that we possibly can. Let's be proud of that team GPA and, let's boost that up. So they did a great job.
The questions are starting to roll in for Monmouth head field hockey coach Carli Figlio. While we get to these questions, we will revisit earlier the team competes in the fall, and it was a tremendous fall for Coach Figlio's team. We'll get to detail about that. That's actually where we begin with our first question. And Michelle in West Long Branch wants to know, Coach, you had a tremendous amount of success year one in the American East, which traditionally is one of the best field hockey leagues in the country. Discuss the transition. How did you and the staff handle the transition from really, I think it's your third league in a handful of years, Northeast Conference, MAC, now America East. How was the transition for you?
It was exciting. I mean, I think it's always a great opportunity when you get to just step into something and be the new guy. Nobody knows you. you kind of don't know a lot about the other teams, especially playing like UNH and Maine and those northern schools that we really haven't had on the schedule before. So it was fun, and I think we just took the opportunity and we were like, why not us? And why shouldn't it be us? And I think we trained with an intensity this year that was different, and we really tried to do things differently this year from the beginning of preseason day. I think it was 1.5, day 2. We brought in Mr. Salisbury, a father of one of our players who was a Navy SEAL, and we really honed in on team camaraderie, accountability, trying to get ourselves into a position where we could be ready if given the opportunity. And I think, after that first game in the new conference, we were kind of dipping our toes in there, and then we realized like, hey, we can do this. And I think, coaching is all about gaining that confidence, and that's a tricky thing if you aren't winning right away. And we just happened to perform really well that first game. I think that propelled us forward.
14 wins this past season, Coach. 5-0 in the America East Division. How are you able to have so much success so early on?
I mean, the girls, my coaching staff, like my job is just to do these interviews, make sure they're going to class, get them up to practice on time. I mean, nothing that I can plan or do works unless they are fully bought in. And so, I mean, we're talking about last spring, we prepared physically, mentally, getting the girls ready to lead, getting the girls ready to, face different opponents. That was total credit to them. And just, we had some bumps in the road too. And we were able to really learn from that. There were some games where we lost, and we lost in a fashion where it didn't feel good. And so instead of kind of, sliding backwards as you can, we really took it as a learning opportunity. And there are specific players who really took it upon themselves to get out on the field, do reps of certain things. And it showed in a really big way once we did get into that conference play. So total credit to my staff and to the girls. Game day is just me on the sideline, hopefully not yelling too much.
We'll continue to look back at what was a tremendous fall for the field hockey team, but the next question coming in, Coach, comes in from Chris. And Chris wants to know, how has the recruiting process been affected during the whole pandemic that everyone is dealing with now? How has your communication been with your potential incoming recruits?
It's a really good question. We have been really diligent on WhatsApp is like the best thing out there. Essentially, you can communicate with anybody around the world for free. It's basically like you can jump on FaceTime. So I've been WhatsApping a ton. In fact, in the beginning of this, was on so many Zooms. I was like, oh, I'm getting some headaches. So my assistant, Alyssa, was awesome. And she's like, I got us. She got those blue light glasses, which I have somewhere. So I have an opportunity to kind of be on these Zooms. See, you got it. Be on these Zooms, be on WhatsApp, and just continue to have those conversations without kind of missing a beat. But it's like you had said earlier, it's fun to kind of learn what other people are going through and just checking in. Thankfully, everybody that we've been recruiting is really still excited. And we've got just a ton of people pouring in wanting to come to Monmouth. So,
well, it's a good time to be a Monmouth Hawk. It's a great time to be a Monmouth field hockey player as we speak with Coach Carli Figlio. Another question coming in before we continue getting into a few other topics. But, Coach, this topic is on-field related, and it comes from a former colleague of ours, Joe Compagni, the longtime track and field and cross-country coach at Monmouth. And he wanted to know, were you still using those polar heart rate monitors that were made available to coaches? And did that affect and adjust your training schedule and regimen with the team?
So we are using those, like we're not currently using them. I mean, the locker room is kind of a bombshell and they're just like strewn all over, but we have been lucky enough that maybe like 6 years ago at the moment, we invested in some Garmin watches. And so it really keeps the girls accountable. And we saw a real shift in our fitness by using that. And then obviously by using these polar watches, recovery and that kind of scenarios have really helped us take that next step as far as being able to train at the highest peak. While using the Polar at Monmouth and then the Garmin while the girls are at home, it's kind of created that competition, that internal competition, being able to see, what you ran the other day and then trying to beat it, next time you run it. That's always what you want to try to feed into your athletes, is just find that internal drive and really go for it. So all the tools that Monmouth has given us has really put us in a situation where we can be successful in a new conference at a higher level.
One of those tools, and one of the first conversations we had was with the director of strength and conditioning, Tim Ream, and Tim went into detail about the app that he and his staff are now using while the athletes are working from home and they're getting their workouts in remotely. How has that been for them? I know physical fitness at the very top of your priorities as a coach.
Yeah, I mean, we're lucky to be working with Tim. He has been fantastic in every way. He is motivating. He keeps them accountable. He's just fantastic. And the creativity that Tim had employed immediately when this started by coming up with the app Train Heroics, I mean, everybody is using that now. And that is because, he had the wherewithal to be like, how are we going to do this? Because I think as coaches, we were all like, what do we do? How do we do this? And he was like, I got you. And that was another opportunity for the girls, again, to compete with each other within that team. You can't physically be there on the line saying like, I'm going to beat you or I'm going to beat my time. But within that app, you can upload your times. People can comment, do the emojis, that kind of stuff. So with Tim, we've used him in our Zooms as well. We just did our summer workout packet. He's been an integral part of our speed, of our strength, and we're just trying to do everything that we can so that we're fit and ready because of all the work that he's put in. We just want to give that back to him because it's been fantastic. And from a personal standpoint, I was lucky enough to inherit a few weights from the old weight room. So I have like a little makeshift circuit every once in a while, and that's keeping me sane as well.
Well, as soon as maybe we could socially distance and do that, because I have nothing over here.
Come on over. My weights only go up to 22, Eddie. So it's a light circuit kind of day over here.
Well, I've bought more milk than I ever have to, if for nothing else, just to go like this with it.
Yeah, there you go.
Another question coming in for Monmouth head field hockey coach Carli Figlio, and it comes from our most loyal viewer to the Hawk Talk series that we started a couple of weeks ago, from Jackson. That's an interesting question. We mentioned the international recruiting that Figlio does successfully. Outside of that, she's seen a lot of success finding student athletes pretty close to Monmouth within, maybe 1-2 hours. Now, please discuss the local recruiting and how that's been going.
Yeah, no, the local recruiting is actually, it's so interesting because you're working with kids who are really focused on their main goal is let's get to college and let's play. So I think they're almost, you have to put them at ease a little bit of like, eventually we will be able to see you guys and really dive into that recruiting. And so what we're doing right now is just making sure that we connect. Part of our recruiting philosophy is get to know the player. There's a million great field hockey players out there, but what works for us is that we try to recruit similar-minded people. I mean, we've had great success with Shore Regional kids. Annie, who's going to be graduating tomorrow. My assistant, Alyssa, who's also from Shore. My very first recruit, Melissa Murphy, was from Shore. So we try to pull locally. Obviously, Pennsylvania, there's just a ton of talent in there athletically, really working with New York, and almost trying to get some of those northern states involved too. Since we are going to be traveling up there, we've tried to kind of expand a little bit, but we've got some girls from Virginia, Maryland. We're really kind of spread out in the U.S. on that East Coast side. So it's exciting. And for 2021, we do have a couple like local, I would say New Jersey kids coming in. And we're really, really excited about the talent level.
If you want to get your question in for Carli Figlio, make sure to submit it in our Facebook live chat as we continue the conversation with Monmouth's field hockey coach and also the reigning coach and staff of the year in the American East. Carly, or an answer earlier, I pulled one of the themes, the buzzword, put the letter on Monmouth.com. You mentioned always learning is the theme of you and your program during this time. That letter was very well detailed, but if you want to just expound on it a little bit, how you are maybe taking those words into what you're doing in your evolution as a head coach.
Sure. I mean, I wish I could take full credit for that brilliant thought, but in all honesty, I mean, always learning just happened to be one of the Zoom meetings that I was involved in. And I've been so fortunate, as I mentioned earlier, in working with Mr. Salisbury. He has introduced me to a whole plethora of books and including me in different Zoom meetings where I'm interacting and learning from some of the world's best leaders. In fact, this upcoming Friday, we have a Zoom call with the author of the book, Make Your Bed, which just happened to be a book that we had the girls read, and it's an amazing read. And you can pull so much from athletic and real life, and I really, really enjoyed it. The girls did too. So what I'm trying to do personally is just constantly surround myself with people who are forward thinking, people who are keeping themselves super positive, people who are trying to create an environment where it's healthy for them and healthy for whether it's their players or their coworkers or the people that work around them. And so that's really helped me through this whole situation as well. So when I stole that idea, right, that was a topic that we talked about, and how can we use this time to better ourselves? And Mr. Salisbury talked about getting 1% better every single day. And that's something that the Navy SEALs talk about. And that to me in this time was so influential, because you can always do something to get 1% better. Do a circuit in your backyard, read a chapter in a book. And so just trying to convey that to people who will listen has been something that me and my staff have tried to do.
And if you missed some of the things that Carli just mentioned, it's available on Monmouth Field Hockey social media. It's also on the Facebook page here. There was a great video done earlier this year about the trade that Mr. Salisbury came here to New Jersey. And Carli, we keep it rolling. Another question comes in. It comes in from Carol, who is in North Carolina, chipping in here on our Facebook live stream. And Carol wants to know, as we talk about America East, what is it like for Monmouth in that league to go against teams like California and Stanford, who you saw in the postseason last year, among those other big state schools that compete in the America East?
It's great. I mean, it's a welcome challenge. I've always been on the philosophy of play the best to be the best. And, you know, hey, it's great to win, but why not challenge yourself? You know, jump out of the nest and see if you can fly. And I think for us, the unknown of like who is Stanford and who is UC Davis and who is Cal, like we had never played them. And so it was so exciting to watch film on them and to kind of create that buzz, especially around tournament time of like, okay, we've never played this team ever. So here we go. And obviously to compete against Stanford in that last game, you know, nationally ranked, had some national players on their team. We knew it would be a challenge, but like I said, we had been preparing physically and mentally for that opportunity. And I was so proud of how we got to that game. And I was so proud of how we played in that game. And it may not have been the result that we wanted, but, you know, something that we at Monmouth try to really work on every single day is we want to be in that national conversation. We want to be a name that when you talk about field hockey, you're like, yeah, Monmouth, top 15, top 20. That's our ultimate goal. So when you talk about a Stanford, you're also talking about a Monmouth. So I think moving forward, our players are really honed in on that.
Before we get to the next question, and they are coming in for Carli Figlio right now via our Facebook live chat, we've mentioned it a few times, kind of around it. But Coach, I just want to ask you about maybe my favorite moment of the season. And if you ask anyone, they were at the Cal game on So Sweet a Cat Field, the dramatic come from behind win. Where does that rank in the victories as far as you as a head coach? Is that?
Yeah, I mean, what a moment. Cal it was so fun to play them. It was really fun to watch them and scout them. I think, again, going back to that unknown, they are fast and talented, and man, they have players that we were nervous, and I think we really were like, hey, we're home, we have nothing to lose. I mean, kudos to the fans, because without the support of all those fans, I mean, you had the football players in full helmet, full gear. Do we score 37 seconds into that game without that support? I don't know. I think I told Coach Cal that his team got the assist for that goal. But more than that, what I was the most proud of, and something that continues to be a theme amongst teams that I've coached that win, is just the resiliency. I mean, we were down, and we were down in a pretty big way, and we just did not give up. And we kept our cool in a really high pressure situation. Again, I wish I could take credit for this, but I just can't. I mean, it's the girls, and it's what they've been preparing for. And it all goes back to that second day of preseason when Mr. Salisbury was like, blue head. What does that mean? And that just means keeping yourself calm in a high pressure scenario. So absolutely one of the best top moments of my coaching careers. Would I have liked to solidify the win earlier? Sure. I definitely have some gray hairs in here from that game, but well worth a gray hair too.
If you missed that, if you actually go on all of the social media with Monmouth Athletics, you could go on Twitter at Monmouth Hawks. There was a great video compiled by the Monmouth Digital Network team with the top moments, and that obviously was one of them, with what was just a tremendous season for Coach Figlio's team. Before I get to some of my points, more questions coming in. When the viewers want to know, we can get a question right to the coach. Nancy West Long Branch has a question. Carli, a couple of years ago, you guys go on 4-4 with your team. How did that come about? What were the advantages to your program of going on that 4-4?
Sorry, Eddie, can you just say that one more time? You broke up just a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to go on a 4-4 a couple of years ago. What were the advantages of that to your team, and how were you able to springboard into the next season with that?
Sure, and that was amazing. That was definitely one of the best moments for so many reasons. Obviously, to open up our players' eyes to different countries, especially, if you are out of the country and you are a player, you get to kind of travel and see how the systems work differently, the club systems over in Europe. So culturally, it was an amazing thing. And then obviously, from a community standpoint, we were able to do some really amazing things within the community in Holland. So that was great as well. From a recruiting standpoint, we got to see players. I mean, that's the ultimate goal in a trip like that, is to create some culture to learn, and then also try to find a player or two. So that was fantastic. The other really cool thing about it was that we got to see the hometown of some of our student athletes, and they were really proud. Josephine, who again is graduating tomorrow, we had dinner at her house. Julie Lazo, who was on the team at the time, the pride that they had of showing us their hometown was fantastic. And then we actually had some incoming players. Irene came to watch a game of ours. So it was a really amazing opportunity. And again, it goes back to Monmouth's commitment to doing things like this for their student athletes. You come to Monmouth, you don't just get an education, you don't just have a playing career, you have life experiences. And, without the commitment from athletics and them wanting that for their student athletes, we would have never been able to do that. So an amazing moment for us.
You mentioned the commitment by the athletic department and by the university. That kind of leads me right into my next thought. Dr. McNeil's been the athletic director here, obviously during our entire tenure, but both her and Lady during this entire situation. How has that been for you, getting that cue from the top? Because I can't go into my inbox or can't go on social media and not see messaging coming out from the leadership here at Monmouth. You mentioned Tim Ream, Tom Bieber, great support staff, but the leadership here has really been exemplary as we navigate this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I owe everything to Dr. McNeil. I mean, she took a chance on me as a young kid, and so the leadership that I am seeing now in this time is just a reflection of all the years of development that she's allowed me to have. from conversations of, how to coach, how to be yourself, how to figure this out. You see that in the resiliency that she brings to our weekly meetings, the talks, if we need help and we email, we get responses right away. And I think what's impressed me the most is, President Leahy, I mean, what a wild ride to have in your first, opening as far as being a president at Monmouth University. Don't think he saw this one coming. So, we couldn't have asked for a better leader. If you see him, I got a chance to see him at convocation. Just when he speaks, you want to listen. He's a leader that you want to follow. And I think we're extremely lucky. I feel completely confident that we're in good hands. We'll do this the right way. And I think that is also the theme of this is let's do this the right way so that we are all safe, we are all healthy, that we're all getting back to our normalcy or what will be our new normal. But without good leadership, this moment in time would be incredibly hard to move forward with. So I'm very happy with who we have surrounding us.
Now you mentioned how Dr. McNeil took a chance on a young head coach. 13 years, by the way, at the helm of Monmouth. Does that sound kind of weird?
It's so crazy. I think it was a couple years ago, I was being interviewed by one of the students, and he said, "So you've been here for a decade," and I think I fell out of the chair. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I look back at that time, and Marilyn makes really good decisions, and I was really just, when she offered me the job, like, yeah, okay, let's do this. It's a dream. And I think not only is it a dream that she took a chance on me, but to have her be able to believe fiercely in what we were trying to do, even in the hard times. It's always easy if you're winning and you're on a roll. It's when those seasons that you aren't doing well and you're having real issues. Can you walk into your boss's office and have a conversation? The fact that she cares about the players, but also about the staff. She cares about, are you taking time for yourself? How is your life? That's huge. And I think, again, it just reflects back on how we're dealing with this right now is because of the care and the concern from the top all the way down.
We've got some pretty big-time viewers tonight, and a gentleman who we mentioned earlier is checking in. Tim Ream, the Director of Strength and Conditioning at Monmouth. Carli, Tim wants to know, is there a big difference between the American style of field hockey and the international style of field hockey? And if so, how difficult is it to mesh all of those playing backgrounds together?
Tim, great question, buddy. Well, Tim, you will be happy to know the American style is a little bit more physical for sure. So you got to be strong. I think it's the international flair. They play when they're age 5. They have astroturfs the way that we do. And so their skill development, they have a bit more finesse, and the American kids maybe have a bit more grit. And so when you mesh those two things together, it's so fun to watch. It's really fun to watch the internationals in the weight room. They're really unsure of what's going on in there, but it's really cool to see the transformation and them get an opportunity to build that strength that they otherwise wouldn't have, and then take that home and have them play at a different level, and then have the American girls just learning different systems, different ways, bring all those ideas together, melt them together, and see what comes out of it. That's the coolest thing to me as a coach, being able to meld all those internationals and Americans together. But I think the style of play will always be a bit more fast and physical. We're very straightforward as far as how we play in America for the most part. And that's why we need you, Tim. We need that speed. We need that strength.
If you want to get your question in for Carli Figlio, again, make sure that you put it into our Facebook live chat. It'll get communicated right over to me. And Coach, I did want to veer just a second and talk about some of your alums who are doing great things. The Hawk Heroes segment that is on MonmouthHawks.com really is phenomenal. And there's 3 of your alums, Ali Perez, Trish O'Dwyer, and Caitlin Buckley, who are right on the front line of what we're currently experiencing. Have you had the chance to catch up with them? And again, if you haven't read those features, go on monmouthhawks.com and do so. But have you had a chance to catch up with them and just get their side of what's going on?
Yeah, so actually, Allie's on the team currently. Her and Hannah they'll be on the team for another 2 years. But Allie is currently, she's doing some in-home care. I believe the woman is recovering from cancer. I hope I didn't misspeak there. But we were chatting with her on our Zoom session the other day. She loves it. It's something different every day. She's really enjoying her opportunity to kind of use what she's learned at Monmouth and help somebody and see a difference. I've talked to Caitlin Buckley. She's in the thick of it, right? She's in New York City, Columbia area. So she's doing great. I know we've kind of sent her some messages of just, hey, stay strong. I know Jared, I think he said, he Venmo'd her for some coffee or for some lunch. So we're just trying to do little things that help them. Trish is over in Ireland, and I think she had just gotten out of residency or might still be in residency. So we've sent her some messages too. Obviously, these women were resilient on the field and powerful on the field. And it's just amazing to see what they can take and help others, because that's what it's really all about, right? The wins and the losses are fantastic, but it's what we do next that's the most important thing. And I mean, I think we see it with those three women, the difference that they're making in their area and for all of us in general.
So again, like Carli mentioned, if you want to check out those Hawk heroes, and Allie, who is currently on the team, as well as Trish O'Dwyer, Dr. Trish O'Dwyer, and Caitlin Buckley, make sure to go to monmouthhawks.com. Tremendous stories about what's going on, and Monmouth alums that are on the front lines right now. A Carli question comes in from another friend of ours. Keith from Chicago is checking in, and Keith wants to know, how have the facility improvements over the last 10 years helped really propel this Monmouth field hockey program?
Hey, Oli. Good question. I mean, obviously, the MAC has been just such a push forward in recruiting the locker rooms. We just got, a renovation in the weight room, which has been really fantastic. We send that video to all of our recruits, and they are just beyond impressed. From a really personal standpoint, our field is the best. And I think for anybody who is really looking to have one of the best fields, the best facilities, we really did our research, took our time, and we have an FIH approved pitch field, which just means that we can host international games. And we were kind of in the works trying to figure out how do we bring some international play and when all this hit. So hopefully we can figure that out. But man, we love So Sweet a Cat Field, and it has helped in recruiting. It has helped in play. People want to come here. So really enticing some of those top 10 schools to come and play us at our facility. We have the beach. We have an amazing field. I mean, my gosh, we have Wilson Hall, we're the home of Annie. So everything about Monmouth University helps us be able to get the best recruits and play the best teams.
If you want to see any of those facilities that Coach just spoke of, there's a tremendous video on the Monmouth Hawks YouTube page. If you go to youtube.com/MonmouthHawks, it takes you through aerial footage and a tour of campus that really is fantastic. And Coach, one more thing that I was curious on, when you and I spoke the other day, and I'm very curious to get your thoughts because you win a lot and you're a tremendous leader. I know you're giving credit to everyone else, but you're a tremendous leader in your own right. Just how this has been for you, how you've been able to kind of navigate what's going on right now that we're all dealing with. I know you're one of the mentally toughest people I know. So how are you kind of doing the day-to-day thing?
I don't know how mentally tough I am, but I just humor. I think that's one of the things sometimes you have to laugh. I mean, you have to find a routine. That was definitely the hardest thing in the beginning, was just figuring out, how do you work from home and how do you work out from home, and keeping what's important to you part of your daily routine. So once I kind of figured that, it took about a week. Get up, set your alarm, get your workout in, do the work that you need to do. That's really helped me through this. And again, just humor, talking to your friends, definitely talking to your family, making sure that you stay connected. And I think just being motivated by what's to come and being able to, like I said, we love So Sweet a Catfield, like counting down the days that we can just be out there. And I think the thing that's going to come out of this, what I hope will come out of this, is that you just don't take a moment for granted. You're tired, you may not want to do the extra run, but you have the opportunity to be out on the field. You have the opportunity to compete. Go for it. Play every single game like it's your last game. It's that age-old saying that's, every coach loves to say, but it really could be. You just never know. And my heart goes out to all the athletes in the spring that got cut short. I think if any of them could probably tell their story to a fall athlete, is go for it. You just never know, and you can't take anything for granted. So that's kind of what propels me through each day.
Well, Coach, I want to thank you. I want to thank all the viewers who submitted questions for this Hawk Talk with Coach Figlio. I really appreciate you giving us a couple of minutes, kind of taking us inside of your experience and into your team's experience. And Carli, we really do appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This was so much fun.
That was head coach Carli Figlio of the Monmouth Field Hockey Program. Our next Hawk Talk coming up this Thursday. It's a big week here on Hawk Talk. We will welcome in the president of Monmouth University, President Patrick Leahy, this Thursday at 7 p.m. If you missed any of our conversation with Coach Figlio, it's archived on monmouthhawks.com as well as right here on Facebook as well. For the head coach of the field hockey team, Carli Figlio, I'm Eddie Acapenti from the Monmouth Digital Network saying goodnight here on Hawk Talk.